Welcome, everybody. This is the once a month Wednesday meeting of Shalom in the Home, and I hope you've been experiencing great shalom. We've had so much going on, haven't we? I don't know about all of you, but right here in Oklahoma, we've had a lot of storms. This is our storm weather, and it can produce a lot of greatness as far as rain, but also a lot of anxiety. But what I wanted to talk to you today, and it seems that so many people are and so many women are going through, is that they need a mother, they need a mentor. And so today I want to be that for you. And you can always contact me at miriamstallsworth@gmail.com. But for things that others have taught me or I've been raised with, I want to share with you and know that I am available for you. And although I grew up in a Jewish community and um, living a Jewish lifestyle culturally, as far as the Torah and that, I really did not know a lot. So I came in the back way or the long journey home myself. But for most of you who are following the Judaic biblical calendar, which our congregation, Bet Me, House of My People, does, what we are doing is that we are approaching as we're counting the Omer and we're getting ready for Shavuot. Shavuot, which is Pentecost in the Greek, is 50 days. And we count each night, counting your blessings, you count each night of there was a omer of barley. So this is a feast that is so connected with Passover. And also in Exodus, there was thunder, there was lightning, and through every tongue they heard the 10 utterances, the 10 commandments, the 10 words. And this was all about communication. And there was a cloud, this great cloud over them, which many sages have want to say, this is the canopy, this is the huppah. And so the ketubah, the contract, was sent out to everyone. And God was saying, these are the things that I desire for you to do. And it's like if you get married, and many of you maybe have not had the opportunity to be married under a huppah or make your own contract, which the husband does. And it is telling the wife, these are the promises I'm going to do for you, but these are also the requirements that I have for you. And by doing so, it sets forth this covenant, this contract. And 50 days later, there's the marriage ceremony, and it is the consummation of the marriage, they say. And this is called Shavuot. What is so important about this holy time that's connected, finishing up Passover first fruits and then on to Shavuot, is that they took these gigantic loaves of bread. I think they said it was just enormously long. We could never get it into our ovens, ladies. But in this, what would happen is that they would take these loaves of bread with leaven now, and they would shake it just like when you do the lulav and lift it high and down and east and west and all around as an offering. But what this was it was communicating in every single tongue. Every tribe could hear in their own language. So there was no excuse saying, "Oh, I didn't get this. I don't understand this." They all heard and they were amazed. And isn't that a wonderful thing? Every single holiday, every single moed or moedim, plural, is a special feast, a special time that the qualities of our Savior Yeshua is trying to tell you. And so I was thinking about this as your founder, Charlie Brown, in the Rooted Cafe was saying, Miriam, so many people need help with marriage. And some of you might be in a situation where you came into Torah, but you didn't enter your marriage in Torah, or your husband is not really into it yet, and maybe even your children, or you have relatives, or you have family, and they say to you, why are you doing this Jewish stuff? You're not Jewish. And do you have the explanations to tell them? And the explanation is perfect with Shavuot. Because here was this wealthy man, Boaz, and here was this Moabite woman. In Hebrew, it's pronounced Ruth, R-U-T, in the English, Ruth. And she went with her mother-in-law, Naomi, and she said, where you go, I will go. Where you lodge, I will lodge. Your God will be my God. And so here there is this lineage of Boaz who took the place because her husband had deceased, Ruth's husband, and here the nearest relative decided he would not be the kinsman redeemer. He would not give children to keep the name on for Ruth. Next in line comes Boaz, and he says, I'll do it. And it's almost like this great love story. I will let you glean from my fields. Don't go with anybody else. And I'm going to cover you with the tallit. And almighty God, how it's a love story, folks. And isn't that what the Bible is to us? A great, awesome love story that we are just in awe of how much he loves us, that we are the bride. So let's talk about communication. You know, today we have cell phones going constantly. We have emails. And in that, you can say a lot of things, but nobody knows your facial expression, doesn't know your emotions of what you're doing, how you feel. So let's talk about it. I've said every time in this series of Shalom in your home, the words of kindness are on the lips of the Proverbs 31 woman. So when you talk to your husband, when you talk to your in-laws, when you talk to your children, how do you present things? And if your husband or some of your relatives are not on board with this whole new thing that's come about, which is really very, very old, isn't it? When people say, give me the old time religion, this is it. This is it, what we're in. We're in the old time religion. But let me ask you, how do you respond? Are you looking right for an answer when your husband's talking to you? If your husband isn't even interested in doing Shabbat, but who isn't interested in having an incredible meal? So you can start very, very slowly and have this incredible meal that you save up all week to do the best that you can on Friday night. And you bless your husband and you present to him a meal fit for a king, because you are the queen and he is the king. And so even if you start with that and slowly, how can I help you tonight? How can I bless you? Did you have a hard day's work? But we don't start this on Friday. We go from Shabbat to Shabbat. So we start this on the first day of the week, Sunday or Monday, and thinking, okay, I've got to plan my menu. Who am I going to have? Is it just going to be my family, or am I going to invite others? How can I start getting this? How can I set my table days in advance to get ready? Because when we're stressed, we don't function well. And when we're stressed, we don't answer to anybody very well. And so these are ideas that I'm giving you. And soon I'm going to have a recording of how we do Shabbat. And I'm going to send that out to you, how we set the table, how we do the blessings. There isn't one exact way. And as we say in our congregation, everybody has a different spice. You might have the same recipe for bread as your friend does, but it's going to come out differently. It is made with love, and it's made with such joy, because as women, you brought the light into the world. And as Messiah, Yeshua is the light of the world. You bring life into the world yourself. Some of you maybe physically have adopted or can't have children, but you have been a mother in so many other ways. Or you're a teacher and your students, or you are working somewhere where people will say, how do you do this? I want to learn. And so I'm saying, do not beat yourself up and saying, I can't do it this well. Everybody can. And you start slowly, and you look at books, you can look at articles, and you can do a blessing over the wine and or the grape juice that you use, a blessing over the bread. I make bread every Friday, and if I have extra, I take it to neighbors and I say, may you be blessed. I don't even tell them this is challah, because most of them don't even know what that is. But then they'll ask me, and I say, well, I do a Friday night dinner in my home every week. How would you like to come? So I'm encouraging you to go slowly, but the main important thing of this holiday and this holy time and every time is communication. When my husband was alive and we were married 42 years, when he died suddenly one Shabbat, that was the hardest thing for me to miss, was him looking at me in his eyes and blessing me every Friday night. And he would put his finger on my lips and say the words of a Proverbs 31 woman, our kindness are always on our lips. And I tried to do that. We're not perfect. We make mistakes. But if we'll remember that. So how do you talk to one another? How do you treat one another? We never use the words, you always do this, or you're not interested. He'll never be interested. She'll never be interested. That's not a good way to go about it. And how do you bless your husband? If he's come home from a hard day work, give him time, give him space to relax. But then also, as you've gotten into this, can't he have responsibilities to help you? Can he not help you get ready for Shabbat? And if you have small children, can he not help you with the children? Because this is a covenant between two people. Well, really, they say a threefold cord cannot be easily broken. That's you and your mate and God. There's a special time about Shabbat and how we talk to one another and how we set the mood. And Friday night is the feminine aspect of God. So how's your generosity? Are you set asiding tzedakah, funds to help those in need? Are you being generous in your words and compliments? Are you grateful? Are you teaching your children to not be only grateful, but also givers? And for some of us, we even have it's called a little box, a little tzedakah box, and we put change in it. And it's not for the meal, it's for the guests and our young people to understand we are to be givers in this world. Just like Boaz said, gleam from these four corners so that you will have food. We are to help those that are in need. Some of the people who are in need could be your own household. Do you get yourself ready for Shabbat or for the week? Do you take the time to fix yourself and to look as presentable and beautiful as you can to your husband? These are all very important things. Do you touch your mate? Do you offer words of kindness? And rather than finding fault with every pet peeve, because I'm going to tell you, I miss those little things that used to irritate me. And then they're gone, and they're gone forever. So be appreciative. Give your mate compliments. Draw him closer to you by your loving kindness. If you need help setting your table where it becomes an altar, I certainly can help you. But you can even go to stores now where it's like a Dollar Tree or a Dollar General, and they have plates and they have all goblets that are just a little over $1, or a thrift store. Now, I light candles for each holiday, and now I use tea lights. And I used to use the longer candles that were Shabbat candles because they burn about 3 hours. But that's as long as you're probably sitting at a Shabbat table. But I went to Israel by the grace of God. And on this big, big, beautiful piano, there was a big bowl with all these tea lights. And in a hotel, as we were getting ready to go to the wall on Friday night, each woman in her own language would do the blessing, a blessing, and lighting the candles. It was so magnificent that I decided I'm going to tea lights. So you can have always those on hand. Is it commanded that you do that? No. But how do you start Shabbat? How do you separate it? Because you know what? The Shabbat doesn't look any different on Saturday than it did on Friday. You're the one that makes a difference. And it's not you keeping the Shabbat. The Shabbat keeps you. I don't do it any differently now that my husband is gone. I still have people over. I set my table early. Who are going to be the guests at my table that I'm going to bless? Am I going to write a little note to them? Are my kids going to make place cards? Are my kids going to make placemats? Am I going to explain to them why we do it and how wonderful it is? And so we as the bride of Messiah can learn so, so much. But then you, my dear woman, are a bride, and you have your ketubah, you have your Bible that tells all the requirements and all the blessings that you will have. Do not be stingy in any of your ways. Do not be stingy in your words. Do not be hateful. And if you have to talk to your husband about things, have the communication beforehand with much prayer. Say, can we discuss something? Honey, can I discuss something? Could you be a partner? Could you help me in this? Saying he'll never or saying you always, like I said before, does not cut it. You must do it in a way that's so alluring and so thoughtful. And even if it comes to the point where you say, you know, Let's just take a break for a minute. Let's just recharge. Don't leave the evening that you can't look into each other's eyes, because the eyes are the windows of our soul. How do you look in somebody's eyes that you have hatred or anger with, or ingratitude, or you're upset, or if you are divorced, that you're upset with one of the children because they look like your mate? Don't do that. The children are innocent, and I pray that doesn't happen to any of us. But you know what? It's not like I have to do Shabbat. We get to do it. This holy day on Shavuot, which will be this coming weekend, they cook a lot of things with cheese. It's a tradition. Exactly why, I don't know. They said maybe in haste they did this, and so they didn't, but they do a lot of things with cheese. You don't have to. You can look it up and see. There's things called cheese blintzes. Other people do things with doing queso sauce and chips as part of the meal. And then there's lots of greenery. And it's the barley that's brought before, the first fruits of the barley. What is your tzedakah? Are you teaching your children to be givers? Are you teaching your family members that and everything you do, it all belongs to God? And so I must give a portion, just like the little bit of dough that's taken out with the blessing, because that's really called the challah. And now the whole loaf now has become known as challah. But it's the little olive size that you burnt as an offering, and it makes the whole dough holy. When you give and when you set aside your Sabbath, it makes the whole week go better. When you're a giver, then God says, I'm going to give to you because of your generosity. We are not in control. And there might be nights when you say, gosh, it's going to be really hard for me to do this. Honey, can you help me? Or do you have a friend to help you? Or can you get a group of friends and say, we're going to get together and we're going to make some meals and we're going to have it ahead of time that I can take it out of the freezer. And while we make these meals, we can talk, we can visit, we can play music, we can teach one another how to make a different braided challah. Communication and community is one of the most important things. There are times when yet our Messiah and Moses also went on the mountaintop to be alone, because we all need those times. But Shabbat is not a time for that. Shabbat is about setting aside the time for family, for togetherness, to bring your gift into your community. And I pray that you do have a community, or that you're at least meeting on Zoom with others and you're rejoicing with fellowship. Out of the union of Boaz and Ruth is the lineage of King David. What? King David? Yes. So here we took the non-Jew, and not even besides a non-Jew, a Moabite. And then we have Boaz, a righteous Jewish man, and they're coming together. And so it's for all of us. There's one law, there's one commandments for both if you belong to the household of Israel. What a beautiful picture. You know, I have a friend that lives in Itamar, her and her husband, and they've had many, many difficulties lately. And on the road, there's a side road when they go shopping, and they have to have their guns and their holsters right on their waist wherever they go, just to the grocery. But they are by a lot of Arab areas right there with the Palestinians. and they had a lot of killing, and they absolutely mourn over it. But they are such pioneers, because what happens? The next day might be a bar mitzvah. The next day might be a bris. Another day might be a memorial, a yahrzeit, a memorial of somebody that's passed away. And they're going to go to the gravesite or they're going to do a blessing. They never stop. And I want to be that woman of valor. And I'm asking you to come along with me and be women of valor. And if you're already in the Rooted Cafe, you're already on your way. And if you need help, there's always others there. And like I said, there is always myself. I am supposed to fulfill my job of being a woman, like a Titus 2 woman and other women that are on the Rooted Cafe. And so I challenge each one of you, look into, how can I be a better wife? How can I not complain but take everything in prayer and supplication and take it to God and say, these areas I would desire my husband to be like? Are you touching him? Are you complimenting him? Are you putting your arms around him? Do you hold grudge? Are you being hateful in any way or resentful? Are you comparing your marriage to somebody else, or the gifts of what some other woman has to yours? Don't do that. Don't do it. But you don't know what goes on in anybody's household afterwards. We don't know. It might look just like all wine and roses, and you don't know what happens when the doors are closed. But do it as a team. Do it as a team, as a husband and wife and your children. Yes, the woman is the one that has to set the mood. And she's the one that brings the light to the table. And the table on Friday night becomes an altar. And on that altar is the fire of the living God. And so may the Ruach, the Spirit of the living God, dwell in you. May you bring forth blessings and peace and comfort to your household. May you have the organization to start early enough in the week so you're not dragged down or uncomfortable or tired. Pace yourself. Look at the time, and God will extend that time. If you have to save to have your best meal, do less things that are less expensive during the week to save Friday night, which is the feminine aspect of God, the Erev Shabbat. And then on to the Shabbat, the Sabbath day, where it's about in the morning the Torah, and it is the masculine aspect of God. And then we come together toward the evening as the end of the Sabbath, and we do Havdalah, which is separating that. So we have the two bookends. We start with the lighting of the candles, if you desire so, to keep that a time that is different and set apart, to the other time where we close it with the Havdalah. What a blessing. And if you are wanting more of these teachings of what I can teach you from my own experience, did I always do everything right? No. Did I make mistakes, and did I sometimes say unkind things to my husband? Yes. And then we had to learn that the God that's in you is also in your mate. And when you are saying negative things, you're saying negative things of God's creation. So I come to you today and say, may you be blessed. May you be blessed with the shalom, the joy, the peace, the comfort, the guidance of what this walk does to create a shalom in the home. As you start, we start every week all new again. We make mistakes, we move on. I am here for you, and I pray that we can pray for one another. Again, Miriam Stallsworth at gmail.com. Have an incredible, holy time. You know, we always joke around and we say, wow, there was a war we won in the Jewish people. It's a war we won. Oh my gosh. Let's go eat. Isn't that wonderful? So, ladies, have a great, great time in your developing your walk with God. You are so loved. This is Miriam Stallsworth saying, Moments with Miriam. I love you very, very much.